Rolling in the Deep, Aretha Franklin, the Queen of Soul and a courtier in a pith helmet. When I first started going to America at the start of the 60s, I wouldn't always be able to sleep when I got there. The jet lag would kick in, and I'd have some sense of excitement. Wow, I'm in America, me, right now. So I would sometimes get up, go out, and walk around the streets in the early hours, soaking it all in. I was doing that in New York City one time when I stumbled across a record store in Manhattan that seemed to stay open all night. I walked in and got talking to the young guy behind the counter. He was very friendly, and once he found out I was a singer from England, he started talking to me about new U.S. music. The guy recommended one or two upcoming artists, and I bought their albums off him on spec without hearing them, and played them when I got home to the UK. They were terrific. I went back the next time I was in New York, and the same guy had another suggestion for me. Have you heard of Aretha Franklin? I made late-night trips to see this record store guy for years, whenever I was in New York. He was an amazing conduit to new talent for me, including, a few years later, introducing me to the music of the great Bonnie Raitt. I hadn't, but I bought the album he recommended, Aretha, and carefully carried it home across the Atlantic, and when I played it, it absolutely blew me away. I didn't know anything about Aretha Franklin, but the power of her vocal stopped me in my tracks. Its strength was amazing. The Shadows and I had cut our teeth on big bluesy songs, and Aretha clearly came out of that area. She could throw her voice anywhere she wanted and hit the notes spot on every time. It was impossible to listen and not think, wow, what a voice. And after that, I listened out for Aretha Franklin. She released a load of jazz standards throughout the 60s, such as Running Out of Fools, but they only just crept into the bottom half of the Billboard 100. That all changed in 1967. Aretha changed record labels and released a full-on R&B and soul album named I Never Loved a Man the Way I Love You. It was a phenomenal record. Her vocals soared to new heights. The album gave her a top 10 U.S. hit with the title track, and then a number one with its follow-up, a ferocious song called Respect. Her jazzy records had earned her a cult following by now. Suddenly, everybody knew about Aretha Franklin. And quite right, too. She could sing anything she wanted because her voice was so versatile and had so much freedom. She had a 4-octave range, which really is absolutely extraordinary. Respect was her first top 10 hit in Britain. Other terrific songs followed in its wake, such as You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman, Chain of Fools, and the amazing I Say a Little Prayer. People began calling her the Queen of Soul, and it was a title that she totally deserved. She was the ruler. So you can imagine how I felt in August 1970 when the producers of my It's Cliff Richard TV series informed me that they had managed to book Aretha Franklin to appear on the show. This was a serious coup for us. It is possible that Aretha had heard of me, but it is probably unlikely, as I'd never broken America. More likely, her management just thought it was a good idea for her to promote her new record on a Saturday night primetime BBC One show. Well, who cares? We'd got her. We had other big stars on It's Cliff Richard over the years, Elton John, Labi Siffre, Petula Clark, but I must admit that Aretha Franklin is the one that lives on in my memory. Yet despite my admiration for her, I didn't feel nervous meeting her. I rarely get nervous when I meet new people, luckily. That's just the way I am. Aretha sang I Say a Little Prayer on It's Cliff Richard, as well as her new single at the time, which was an old Benny King song called Don't Play That Song, You Lied. You can still see that performance on YouTube today. Unfortunately, this means that you can also see me introducing it. Aretha followed one of the comedy skits on the show, so I was still in costume for it as I introduced her. It meant that I was wearing a pith helmet, had a curly fake moustache scrawled under my nose, and I was clutching a balloon as I declared in a put-on Cockney accent, Aretha Franklin. Oh well, I could have been wearing a clown costume and dealy boppers, and it wouldn't have distracted from the magnificence of what followed. In a chiffon top and hoop earrings, and with a fantastic afro, Aretha sat at a piano and unleashed a vocal that lifted all of us in the studio into the stratosphere. The funny thing is that if you play it back now on YouTube, it sounds tinny. Well, that was the last thing it was close up. Backed by 3 grooving backing singers, Aretha's range was unbelievable. She didn't even need to take a breath to hit the top notes. The song, the music, appeared to flow through her. I watched transfixed. I had absolutely no doubt that I was in the presence of greatness. At the end of the song, I went on, held Aretha's hand and raised her arm to take the studio audience's applause. I still have a photograph of that moment, and I treasure it. Thank goodness I'd taken my pith helmet off. Unfortunately, I didn't get to spend any time with Aretha on the show. Like a lot of American acts, she came in, did her songs, and got out. It was a shame, really. I'd love to have been able to chat with her and maybe even gone to dinner. Just imagine being able to say, "Oh, I know Aretha Franklin. We hung out once." Well, no matter. At least I got to hear that unbelievable voice close up. And I must be honest, I may not have been nervous meeting Aretha Franklin, but I certainly would have been nervous if I'd attempted to sing with her, because I'm not sure that I would have been able to cope with that. I'm a pretty game character, and I'm sure I would have conquered my nerves and given a duet a go, but would I have measured up? In one corner, Aretha Franklin with her 4-octave range. In the other, Cliff Richard, who might have 3 octaves on a good day, but can barely reach the top or bottom ones. I would feel the same about attempting a duet with Mariah Carey. She also has a voice so fabulous that it is intimidating. It's bizarre, really, that the woman known as the Queen of Soul never signed to Tamla Motown. It just never worked out that way, although I believe that Berry Gordy described Aretha as part of the Motown clan. I'll never deny that Adele has a good voice. I've never heard her sing a bum note. But I grew up listening to Ella Fitzgerald, Etta James, and Aretha. And Adele just didn't do it for me in the way that they did. But she has sold millions of records, and any artist with huge record sales is great for our industry. I felt similarly about Amy Winehouse. She could certainly sing, and I've met so many people who loved her that I feel left out. But you can't like everyone. Does it matter that I'm not a fan? No. Also, I didn't like the lyrics of her song about that not going to rehab, no, no, no. A lot of people need rehab to survive. While we're talking about Adele, I was perplexed at the start of 2022 when she postponed a Las Vegas residency the day before it was due to begin. She said that she wasn't happy with the staging of the show, and she didn't feel able to go ahead with it until it was completely right. Well, I don't get that. How could she only realize the day before the show? When I go on tour, I rehearse for weeks beforehand. I talk with the sound guys, the lighting guys, the staging guys, everybody. My next tour is 8 months away as I write, and I'm planning it now. I get everything nailed down in advance. I thought Adele pulling the date so late must have been a big disappointment for her fans, who'd not only paid for tickets, but probably also shelled out for flights and booked time off work. But she offered refunds for the tickets and for accommodation at the venue, Caesar's Palace, and the show got great reviews when it went ahead. I guess that's what matters. Adele has got one song that I like a lot. It's called Rolling in the Deep and was on her second album, 21. When I first heard it on the radio, I didn't realize that it was by Adele. So I began trying to track it down. I kept typing, "We Could Have It All" into Google and getting nowhere. It was frustrating. When I did track it down, I got hold of the song and listened to it now and then. Then, 3 years later, at a tour rehearsal, I was talking to one of my backing singers, Susie Furlonger, who sang with me for 5 years before leaving to start a family. I mentioned to Susie how much I liked Rolling in the Deep. "Have you heard Aretha Franklin's version?" she asked. "Really? Aretha has sung it?" "Yep." Susie played Aretha's version loudly through our speakers, and it was fabulous. It was quite early to cover a song which had been such a huge hit so recently, but Aretha had made it her own. She unleashed that incredible octave range on Rolling in the Deep and completely reimagined it. Aretha's singing style is totally different from Adele's. I guess I shouldn't say that her version is better than the original, but what I can safely say is that I enjoy it more due to a couple of beautiful high notes that Aretha threw in. Let's face it, her voice has forever struck a chord deep inside of me. It always will. I'd like to sing Rolling in the Deep one day. I think it's a great rock and roll song. I'd love to record it in Nashville with the band I use there. We'd keep the melody, of course, but work out a new arrangement that would suit my voice. If we do it, maybe not everyone will like it, but I will. Sadly, the great Aretha Franklin died in 2018 at the age of 76. It's a measure of what a colossal figure she was in American music and culture that Stevie Wonder and Jesse Jackson visited her on her deathbed. Former President Barack Obama paid tribute, saying that she had helped to define the American experience. You know what? I think it's true. Aretha Franklin had one of the greatest voices in music history. She truly was the Queen of Soul, and I shall forever be proud and honored that one evening in 1970, I was able to witness her unique talent close up and introduce her on British TV to millions of enthralled viewers, even if I was holding a balloon and wearing a fake moustache and a pith helmet.